Valor College's inaugural match was about to begin. The rules and schedule have been fully explained, Marcus Thorne announced, his voice echoing through the vast arena. Now, I invite the captains of all participating teams from every university with superpowers, with the exception of the Apex Academies, to gather here for a drawing to determine your groups. After allowing the audience and contestants a moment to absorb the information, Marcus Thorne continued, his tone shifting slightly. We must draw lots now. Let us hope that fate grants us a group composed of fewer overwhelmingly powerful players. A palpable shift swept through the crowd. The fiery intensity in the eyes of many contestants instantly dimmed, replaced by a collective sigh of relief. After all, the majority were merely average. Once the 252 team captains had gathered, and their groups were assigned via the draw, the preliminary rounds for the large group were poised to commence. Everyone, please return to the edge of the arena, Marcus Thorne directed. The preliminary matches for the major groups are about to begin. At the boundary of the arena stood a specialized device, a chair-like apparatus designed for entry into virtual reality. As before, contestants would lie back in these chairs to enter the simulated battlefield and engage in combat. The entire spectacle of their battles within the virtual realm would be projected directly onto the massive screen covering the whole arena, ensuring that every viewer, whether present or watching the live stream, could witness every brutal detail with crystal clarity. The preliminary group competition spanned 4 grueling days, providing each battle team with 1 match per day. Furthermore, the teams from Group 1 would compete and conclude their matches before Group 2 began, followed sequentially by Groups 3 and 4. This staggered schedule was designed to grant all participants ample time for rest and recovery. The first group to take the stage was Group 1. Ethan looked up, his gaze fixed on the massive screen suspended in the sky. The match was identified as Grand Citadel Academy versus Ironwood Academy. Their opponent was identified as Ironwood Superpower University. Since this was a 2-on-2 format, and there were 64 schools participating in the large group, it meant a total of 32 matches. The number 21 indicated that their bout was positioned far down the series. Ironwood Superpower University, an utterly unremarkable superpower university, ranked 188 last year, Ethan murmured softly, glancing at the information displayed on his phone. After researching the details, Ethan did not take the opponent seriously. It wasn't that he was arrogant. It was simply that the gap in power was too vast to ignore. His opposition was merely weak. A contestant ranked 188 should barely qualify as a second-tier esper. Moreover, their superpowers generally peaked at level C or B. Given the gulf of 2 major realms and the sheer disparity in ability quality, there was genuinely no need for him to expend excessive focus. The difference between the Chi bloodline and pure spirit energy alone was monumental. To give a vivid example, even if Ethan merely stood still using a minor ice seal shield, they might struggle to penetrate it with more than a dozen combined skills. It's the 21st match, there's no need to rush, Jessica Hayes suggested, a smile gracing her lips as she addressed Ethan. Why don't we head back to the hotel and rest first? Ryan echoed the sentiment. Let's go back. Staying here is getting rather dull. Indeed, the group returned to the luxury hotel adjacent to the stadium. This establishment was connected directly to the arena, meaning that even within their private rooms, they could watch the live broadcast of the games unfold. The view from their own quarters was even clearer. They could monitor precisely when their turn to compete would arrive. Ethan silently acknowledged this as a thoughtful gesture by the competition organizers. However, the relaxed atmosphere at Grand Citadel Academy belied the tensions surrounding them. Meanwhile, Ironwood Superpower University looked visibly distressed. The faces of their 5 members were pale with dread. What kind of luck is this? One member whispered, his voice laced with disbelief. Grand Citadel Academy, how are we supposed to compete against them? They could not fathom why their fortune had been so relentlessly poor. They had barely begun the competition when they found themselves grouped with one of the Apex Academies, and worse, the reigning champions from last year, the battle team from Grand Citadel Academy. Captain, another team member, suggested quietly, how about we just surrender? The disparity in strength was simply too great to overcome. Their strongest member, the captain, was only an Esper who had awakened a B+ level ability and resided at a second-tier upper-level realm. As mere team members, their skills were not even comparable to the captain's own. Surrender or not? The captain of the Ironwood Superpower University battle team hesitated, wrestling with his pride. With such an overwhelming gap in power, fighting was pointless. Yet would surrendering so openly not be deeply undignified? Finally, the captain gritted his teeth and spoke to his team with a semblance of resolve. Regardless, the pain level will be mitigated in virtual reality. We have no choice but to fight. Whether driven by respect for their captain's pride or swayed by his conviction, the other team members echoed his sentiment. More than an hour later, Marcus Thorne raised the microphone and announced with theatrical flourish, "Now, let us welcome the 21st match of Group 1, Grand Citadel Academy versus Ironwood Academy. Grand Citadel Academy. Grand Citadel Academy." The moment Marcus Thorne finished speaking, a thunderous roar erupted from the audience. It was an overwhelming wave of sound, like a landslide or a tsunami. All the voices were in unified support of Grand Citadel Academy. There was nothing they could do about it. The difference in strength between the two sides was undeniable. On their way to their designated seats, one member of Ironwood Academy stumbled, his legs giving out beneath him. In virtual reality, unless otherwise specified, a standard competition consisted of individual and team events. The rules were fundamentally similar to the previous 4 great schools' freshman competition. The only notable change was the introduction of companion beasts. The individual competition began. All 5 members of Grand Citadel Academy adhered to the principle that giving it your all is the greatest respect you can show to your opponent, showing absolutely no mercy. But precisely because they showed no quarter, the contestant from Ironwood Superpower University was instantly neutralized the moment his feet touched the field. He didn't even have time to utter a word of surrender. 5 matches concluded in barely 1 minute. On average, each game lasted only 12 seconds, including setup and transition time. The actual combat duration did not exceed 3 seconds. According to the rules, after the individual rounds, Grand Citadel Academy led Ironwood Academy by a score of 5-0. They were able to skip the team competition, meaning Grand Citadel Academy had secured a decisive victory on the very first day of the preliminary large group rounds. "Keep it up," Ethan extended his fist toward them. "I hope you can achieve excellent results." The captain of Ironwood Superpower University's battle team, who had been profoundly dejected moments before, managed to smile again. He raised his own fist and met it with Ethan's, returning the gesture in a silent blessing. The next 3 days unfolded predictably. Grand Citadel Academy's battle team continued its unstoppable momentum. 4 days later, the promotion match arrived as scheduled. A moderate number of universities were included in this specific match, totaling 80 teams. As for the remaining 176 universities, they would be relegated to a standard knockout tournament format. "Celine, are you watching the game? My new iPad has a bigger screen. Do you want to use mine so we can watch together?" In their 4-person dormitory room at Ethereum College, a girl approached them, her movements accompanied by a light, airy laugh, and displayed her newly arrived tablet. "Okay," another girl sitting at the table nodded in agreement. If Ethan were present, he would have immediately recognized that the other girl was none other than his high school class monitor, Amy. She possessed an 11 water element ability, and her stellar performance in the college entrance examination had secured her a place at this prestigious 211 level institution, Ethereum College. The 2 girls settled down to watch the live stream of the National Ability University competition on the tablet screen. The first team to arrive is from Grand Citadel Academy. I vaguely remember the dazzling scene when Grand Citadel Academy won the championship last year. I wonder if Emma and his team can continue their glory. Accompanied by Hostess, with Marcus Thorne's powerful, passionate voice, the banner of Grand Citadel Academy slowly emerged from the intersection. Upon hearing the name, Grand Citadel Academy, Amy was instantly transported back to memories of her high school crush, Ethan. Of course, as time marched on, she had gradually let go of that youthful attachment. Now, when she thought of Ethan, only a faint, bittersweet sentiment remained. She wondered how classmate Ethan was doing now. He should be nearing the second stage by now. The two girls hadn't been in contact since graduation, so she was unaware of his current status. After nearly a semester, he had advanced to first-order middle-rank Esper. That realization led her to guess that Ethan must be close to entering the second stage now. Celine, look, the captain of Grand Citadel Academy is so handsome. Amy's roommate, sitting beside her, was so animated with excitement she nearly rose from her seat. It was this sudden burst of enthusiasm that instantly dragged Amy's thoughts back to the present reality. How could he be so handsome as to surprise you so much? It was clear that her roommate possessed an extremely discerning taste. If she found someone handsome, they must be breathtakingly so. Amy smiled faintly and then turned her gaze back to the tablet. But what unfolded next completely stunned her, making her rub her eyes in disbelief. After confirming that the scene before them had not changed, she reached out and pinched her roommate's thigh. Celine, what are you doing? That hurts, the roommate pouted, her tone a blend of 3 parts dissatisfaction and 7 parts skepticism. Amy, Celine murmured, ignoring her friend's complaint as she spoke to herself, would you believe me if I told you that the captain of Grand Citadel Academy is my high school classmate? Her roommate stared at her in utter shock. Back at the Grand Collegiate Trials venue, how many matches had been played over the first 4 days? There were 4 large groups in total, and each group contained 64 schools. This meant there were 32 matches within one group alone, totaling 128 matches across all 4 large groups. All of this happened in a single day. 128 matches in a day was indeed overwhelming. Even the most thrilling contests could become exhausting for the viewers. Fortunately, after 4 days, came an even more exciting promotion match. In the preliminary rounds of the group stage, a total of 80 universities with superpowers had met the condition of winning at least 3 out of 4 matches. They would advance to the promotion match, meaning their respective institutions had qualified for the top 80. As for the rest, they were relegated to competing in the knockout stage for spots ranging from 256 to 81 place. The promotion match, round 1, featured Grand Citadel Academy versus Ethereum College. Ethereum College. After learning who their opponent would be in the first promotion match, Ethan checked the information on his phone. This was a 211 level university specializing in superpowers, and they had ranked 23 in last year's National College Superpower Competition. Last year, the level of their participating teams was roughly equivalent to awakening a rank ability Esper of the 3rd Order Upper Realm. Your strength isn't bad, but unfortunately, you've run into us. Ethan shook his head slightly and led the other 4 members away from the arena, heading back to the hotel for a short rest. They would naturally emerge when it was time to take the stage. Meanwhile, the members of Ethereum College turned visibly pale upon learning their opponents in the first promotion match. Grand Citadel Academy, a star-studded lineup with everyone at S-rank ability. How are we supposed to compete? Can we even fight them? One team member from Ethereum College said dejectedly, addressing Emma. It wasn't just this player. The others shared his profound disappointment. After all, this was Grand Citadel Academy, the institution that had claimed first place in the National Superpower Competition last year. There were 79 opponents in total. How did I end up matched with them? Victor, as the team leader, sighed repeatedly. Most of their potential opponents in the promotion match were people they could beat. As a result, they had run into such a formidable rival. They could only blame their bad luck. But even if we can't win, we can't give up easily. The next moment, Victor's eyes blazed with what seemed like a raging fire. He clenched his fists and spoke with passionate conviction. In the individual competition, we are no match for them one-on-one, but that's okay. We can ask them to come to the team competition first. As long as they accept, we will at least make them lose 1 player. We cannot let them win too easily. Victor's words reignited the passion of his four teammates. They raised their right hands high, their eyes resolute, and declared, "We can't let them win too easily." But at that moment, one team member abruptly asked Emma, "Captain, what if they refuse to accept a team competition?" Victor found the thought terrifying, but then he considered, if the Grand Citadel Academy team didn't agree to his request, it might be used against them by people with ulterior motives. After all, fame brings trouble. Grand Citadel Academy certainly had many fans, but they also harbored quite a few detractors. Yet, he thought further, since they were already among the apex academies, why would they fear the words of mere haters? After deep contemplation, he scratched his head and could only utter, "You have to try everything right." Inside the echoing halls of a girls' dormitory at Ethereum College, the air was thick with disbelief. "He's only a freshman," one girl whispered, her voice laced with skepticism. "No matter how formidable Realm is, he simply cannot compete with the seniors. Why would they even let him participate?" Amy tried to explain, but her roommate remained unconvinced. "You must be mistaken," she countered gently. "Perhaps he merely bears a striking resemblance to your high school classmate." The second girl added another word of doubt. Amy felt herself sinking into frustration. It was impossible to argue against their collective skepticism. After all, the Grand Collegiate Trials was designed for upperclassmen at minimum, for junior students. To see a mere freshman participating in an arena dominated by seasoned veterans seemed utterly miraculous, almost unbelievable. "Hey, wait a minute." Amy suddenly remembered something crucial. She pulled out her phone and opened the photo album, scrolling through the memories until she found what she was looking for. "Okay, I found it. Look, this is my entire senior year graduation photo." As she spoke, she displayed the image. The photograph had been taken a month and a half before the college entrance examination, meaning Ethan was clearly visible within its frame. Amy zoomed in with her two fingers, and suddenly, Ethan's figure materialized before them both. "Zhizhai," Amy murmured, a sly smile curving her lips. "Now you can't say anything, can you?" Her roommate leaned closer, eyes wide. "Celine, is this his biological younger brother? They look almost exactly alike. Quick, send me his brother's QQ contact information." Amy simply stared, speechless. "Okay, Celine," she quickly recovered, waving a dismissive hand. "I was just kidding." The roommate, however, pressed the issue again. Then another girl chimed in, "But what kind of cultivator is Ethan?" "A genius," her roommate exclaimed, suddenly energized. "Representing the school in the Grand Collegiate Trials as a freshman and serving as the team captain. It's impossible that the leaders of Grand Citadel Academy would misjudge someone so profoundly." The combination of freshman and school representative was enough to momentarily shatter her worldview. "Wait," the second girl said, regaining her composure. "Isn't our school facing your high school classmate this time?" Amy nodded slowly. "Yeah, it seems our school can only go so far as to participate in the promotion match." She shook her head slightly. While she possessed a strong sense of institutional pride, faced with such an overwhelming disparity in strength, she wouldn't lose herself and blindly support her own university. The 11th round of the first day's promotion match was about to begin, the clash between Grand Citadel Academy and Ethereum College. "We will see Grand Citadel Academy on the field again," one spectator mused. "I wonder how long Emma's opponent can last." Another sighed, "It's only truly enjoyable when two equally matched opponents fight. If you already know the outcome beforehand, it loses its luster." "No rush," a third advised. "The real excitement will come in the finals." "Am I the only one who cares about who the captain of Grand Citadel Academy is?" a woman murmured. "I remember last year's captain was that silver-haired beauty." In the hostess's voice, Marcus Thorne announced, "Please welcome the contestants from Grand Citadel Academy and Ethereum College," immediately drawing a flurry of excited discussion from the audience. Elena, seated among them, couldn't suppress her smile as she listened to others praise Grand Citadel Academy, especially their captain. On the field, next to the seating area, Victor approached Ethan. "Can we play the team competition with you first?" By regulation, individual matches were supposed to precede team events. However, if both sides agreed to switch the order, it was a minor adjustment. "Team competition, that's fine by me," Ethan replied. These past few days, he had fought 5 individual battles and won them all without any surprise. It left him feeling somewhat bored. Playing a team match on the side would make things less monotonous. After all, it wouldn't affect the final outcome of the competition. "Thanks," Victor even offered with a genuine nod. Ethan thought to himself, if he could reduce the number of enemy soldiers, that would be a true display of power. Though defeated in the past, one remained glorious. The two men then approached hostess Marcus Thorne and communicated their request. Upon hearing the situation, Marcus Thorne raised the microphone, her voice echoing throughout the massive arena. "Both sides have agreed to start with the team competition. Very well, then the contest is about to begin." 10 people in total from both universities took their designated positions. Their images were projected onto the empty stadium floor, capturing the attention of every spectator. In the virtual reality space, 10 figures stood ready, instantly summoning 10 companion beasts. Both sides' support units happened to be light-type espers. The light of the sanctuary. The light of purity. With a combined effort, they were the first to unleash their special abilities. The warm glow emanating from them was breathtaking, making them resemble fallen saintesses and inspiring no sense of disrespect. The light of the sanctuary was an S-rank ability, while the light of purity was only a rank. The difference in power was obvious at a glance. Although the white light was suppressed, it still managed to illuminate a significant portion of the arena. Bathed in this radiant glow, the participants felt warm and gained an estimated 30% boost. Grand Citadel Academy, however, experienced an even stronger surge, reaching 45%. That is the terrifying power inherent in S-rank abilities. "Charge, focus, fire on, the target is..." Victor hesitated briefly. Jessica Hayes, positioned at the very back as support, was naturally out of their reach. Sarah knew Emma, the previous captain of Grand Citadel Academy's battle team, had difficulty breaking through. Ethan, now the current captain, would surely face similar challenges in penetrating their defenses. David Chen was tough and thick-skinned. His position guaranteed him a defensive role that made him nearly impervious to damage. Only one person remained. Then Victor pointed directly at Ryan. The other team members immediately understood the implication. Ryan looked momentarily taken aback. "What is happening? Did I do something to offend you?" Purple sun blaze, but she did not falter. If she backed down now, her pride would be shattered. Therefore, Ryan mobilized the fire-type Yuan energy within her body. The next moment, purple flames swirled around the large sword in her grasp. Disparity between the two teams was not merely limited to their superpowers or their innate realm. It lay deeply within the skills they had learned. In prestigious institutions like Grand Citadel Academy, a single department could house dozens of S-rank skill books, and even SS-rank ones were not uncommon. Even at Ethereum College, a respected 211-level university, searching its entire library might yield no more than 10 volumes on S-rank skills within one department. The final result spoke for itself. Ryan's extreme flame slash shattered the illusions of the 5 opponents. This cut was executed at a temperature estimated to be at least 2,500 degrees Celsius. One strike, one decisive blow. Grand Citadel Academy had secured its victory in the initial promotion match with overwhelming force, leaving no doubt of their superiority. The second bout proved even more telling. They faced an opponent significantly weaker than before, a mere first-tier university. Confronted by such formidable strength, the opposing captain visibly faltered. Fear gripped him until his legs betrayed him, and he eventually conceded defeat without a struggle. With this decisive win, Grand Citadel Academy successfully advanced to the finals of the promotion match. Joining them were 15 other universities possessing unique special abilities, bringing the total number of contenders in the final round to 16. The next 2 days would be dedicated to elimination rounds. The first would be a knockout tournament determining placement between the 256th and 81st place. The second, another bracket aiming for ranks between the 81st and 17th. The format remained consistent. All participating battle teams were gathered within a vast, designated area, a space so immense that each team was separated by at least 20 kilometers. The objective was twofold: hunt the resident Crimson Menace or engage in combat with members of rival teams. The outcome, naturally, held no bearing on Ethan's personal journey. The following afternoon, outside the hotel where the contestants were housed, Ethan informed Clara that her mother had arrived and was staying at a nearby establishment. A subtle flush instantly graced Clara's beautiful features. What did Alistair mean by this? Was this an introduction to the parents? What if his mother was not pleased with me? Alistair, Clara started, struggling to find her words. Olivia, there is also. Before she could finish, Ethan's mother appeared at the entrance of the hotel. She had clearly come searching for her son. She paused when she saw him with the slender young woman beside him. "Mom," Ethan called out softly. "Hello, Auntie." Clara's face deepened in color, turning as vivid as a ripe apple. Ethan quickly intervened. "Mom, this is my girlfriend, Clara. You can call her Chloe." He then added a polite nod to the newcomer. "Hello, I am Ethan's mother," Elena said, offering a warm smile and extending her hand. "My son has found such a beautiful girl." "Hello, Auntie. I'm Alistair's girlfriend. It's a pleasure to meet you." At this moment, Clara finally regained her composure. Following the introductions, Elena led Clara away for some shopping. The next day arrived. After 2 days of grueling elimination matches, the rankings for this year's National Ability University competition from the 256th to the 17th had been finalized. The moment all viewers had awaited finally dawned, the grand final. "Hello everyone, the finals are almost here. I am sure you have waited a long time for this, so please let me hear your cheers. Go for your favorite school's battle team." Marcus Thorne spoke passionately into the microphone. A roar erupted from the audience. "Valor College, Valor College. Silverwood Academy, Silverwood Academy. Abbreviation for Crestwood Institute, abbreviation for Crestwood Institute. Iron Peak College, Iron Peak College." The sheer volume was deafening, with the 4 great famous schools leading the charge in a near-perfect tie. Even the cheers for the other 12 universities were faintly audible beneath the wave of noise. "I can feel the immense enthusiasm radiating from everyone here," Marcus Thorne continued, her voice rising above the din. "The final rules are now officially announced. The final round is structured into 3 distinct phases: the quarter-finals, the semi-finals, and finally, the grand finals." She paused for effect. "In the quarter-finals, all teams will enter a virtual reality-generated deep vaults to hunt Crimson Menace and accumulate points. This phase will last for 12 hours. Note that each team enters a different deep vaults. A circular light screen materialized before every spectator's eyes. The point structure appeared. Second Order Superior earned 100 points. Third Tier Lower Rank accounted for 150, 250, or 400 points. Fourth Tier Lower Rank was worth 1,000, 2,000, or 4,000 points. And Fifth Tier Lower Stage to Median yielded 10,000 or 25,000 points. The lowest rank encountered among the participating schools was the 4th Tier Lower Rank, which accounted for the intentionally modest point values assigned to killing creatures of the 3rd and 2nd realms. "Sigh," Ethan murmured inwardly. "Why isn't there even a Crimson Menace in the 5th Order Upper Realm? I wanted to push my limits." He understood that just as human abilities varied, so did the bloodlines of the Crimson Menace. The blazing salamander of the 5th tier mid-rank was already comparable to a regular bloodline. Reaching the 5th Order Upper Realm would be a monumental leap. Amidst Ethan's sigh, Marcus Thorne resumed her announcement. The top 4 teams from the quarter-finals advance to the semi-finals. The remaining 12 will proceed to the final ranking round. This team competition consists of 3 matches, and the winner will claim 20% of the loser's accumulated points. The semi-finals will be a team competition where 4 schools are randomly paired into 2 one-on-one matches. The 2 victors will advance to the finals. Guanfeng paused again, letting her words hang in the charged air, and as for the rules of the grand final, she let the suspense build until every eye was fixed upon her. The final is divided into 2 parts, a team competition and a practical competition. A collective gasp swept through the crowd. In the team competition, there are 5 bonus percentage slots available: 10%, 10%, 15%, 25%, and 40%. The team captain decides how to allocate these bonuses. This phase lasts for 5 minutes. After the competition concludes, the surviving members' bonus percentages can be used to add points. Of course, you will gain extra points, but you must first establish an original score. That raw score comes from the practical competition. In the practical competition, through virtual reality, all contestants' abilities and attributes are neutralized, leveling them all to a single standard. 10 people face oncoming Crimson Menace in separate spaces. Defeating these beasts will earn the team its foundational points. The final winner is determined by combining the original score from the practical competition with the percentage bonuses accrued during both phases. A few audience members shook their heads, murmuring about the sheer complexity of the rules. This final is so complicated, but others smiled knowingly. Too complex. This statement drew nods of agreement from many spectators nearby. Quarter-finals. After Marcus Thorne finished announcing the lengthy rules for the finals, the stage was set. The quarter-finals were about to begin. 16 teams entered the virtual reality device, and simultaneously, the scene before them shifted dramatically. They found themselves in a vast, square expanse, an arena spanning approximately 50,000 meters by 50,000 meters, covering an area of 2,500 square kilometers. This was their initial location within the deep vaults. Upon entering this subterranean realm, Ethan immediately activated his skill, Divine Investigator Technique. Previously, the pervasive fog had severely hampered even those with ultimate-level proficiency. The mist acted as a veil, effectively blocking the perception of mental energy. However, coupled with the growth of his own reserves, the scope of the technique had expanded dramatically. Back in the Whispering Caverns, if he had expended a large amount of mental energy, the radius would have been limited to 42,000 meters from the user. Now, it stretched out to an astonishing 43,000 meters. This immense range allowed Ethan to pinpoint the whereabouts of the Crimson Menace deep within the deep vaults. Though such a massive expenditure of mental energy was taxing and could not be maintained indefinitely, knowing the general direction of the target was enough. Killing a 5th-tier vicious beast would secure more than enough points for them. The time is limited, only 12 hours, David Chen observed to the group. Why don't we split up? If we hunt separately, we can be far more efficient. At that moment, Sarah suddenly had a thought and turned to Ethan, who stood beside her. Captain Ethan, what is the approximate detection range of your mental energy? She recalled that during the Crestwood Academy training camp, Ethan had mentioned his remarkably wide detection radius. She knew that for most espers, mastering energy detection was difficult. They often stagnated at the elementary level unless they were true spirit esper lineage. Furthermore, she remembered that reaching even elementary proficiency offered little practical advantage over simply not learning it. The solution, she realized, lay in advancement. Once one reached 5th-level esper and mastered the spirit-refining art, the technique corresponding to body tempering their mental energy would undergo a massive leap forward. This progression wouldn't make it difficult for them to improve their spirit-related skills. Moreover, they would gain the freedom to choose their specialization. A Qi bloodline might lead them toward becoming martial artists, while those who focused on pure spirit could become mages. Unlike Ethan, who possessed the unique ability to allocate skill points directly using evolution points, allowing him to break through to the ultimate level of Divine Investigator Technique, without prior practice. When Sarah posed her question, Ethan simply replied, "All of them," though his words were delivered with an air of absolute calm, as if discussing mundane weather. Those who heard him froze. They knew his detection range was considerable, but they had never imagined it could be this vast. While the others remained momentarily stunned, Ethan extended a hand, pointing southeast. "There is a vicious beast from the 5th-tier mid-rank realm over there. Let's head that way." "Yes," the rest of the team agreed immediately. They all understood that Ethan had successfully defeated the blazing salamander in the Whispering Caverns. A 5th-tier mid-rank beast might prove overwhelmingly difficult for others, but to their captain, it was merely a challenge. In the stands, the audience members narrowed their eyes as they watched Ethan and his group move out. "Are they heading that way to find the Goliath beast? Did you guide them specifically? Doesn't this feel like a coincidence?" "I don't know," someone murmured. "We'll just have to wait and see." With their god's eye view, it was painfully obvious. They were heading directly toward the Goliath beast's known lair. The beast itself was one of the most formidable vicious beasts in the 5th-tier mid-rank realm within this virtual reality competition. About an hour later, the group arrived at the location of the Goliath beast. "Great, finally, some intense fighting." Before, Valor College's matches were all over the place. It was so dull. Many viewers began discussing the spectacle with palpable excitement. Elena, however, frowned slightly, a deep worry etched across her face. "This vicious beast is as tall as a small building. I hope Olivia and the others can manage it." But she quickly shook her head, replacing the concern with fierce determination. "It will work. It absolutely will." Back in the virtual reality, Ethan offered a faint smile. "Goliath beast, after traveling for more than an hour, I've finally run into you." He then gestured to his teammates. "David Chen, Ryan, Sarah, control it. Jessica Hayes, give me a buff." The four nodded in unison. With a swift swing of his broadsword, Ryan instantly erected a wall of fire before the Goliath beast. When that fiery barrier was shattered by the beast's immense strength, David Chen immediately followed up, manifesting a solid curtain of water. Because David Chen specialized in defense, the resilience of his aqueous shield far surpassed the initial burst of flame from Ryan. Sarah, meanwhile, unleashed her SS-rank skill, Thunderstorm. Several bolts of lightning plummeted from the sky, momentarily restricting the Goliath beast's movements. "Time is up," Ethan snapped his fingers with crisp finality. In the next instant, a massive ice prison erupted from the ground. It soared nearly 20 meters high, completely sealing the colossal Goliath beast within its crystalline confines. The sheer scale of the cage shocked the audience in the stands. It was an enclosure large enough to trap such a behemoth entirely. But the Goliath beast was no prisoner for long. After being trapped, it roared and slammed its massive fist against the ice prison. Its power remained immense. After only a few blows, several shallow cracks spiderwebbed across the surface of the ice. "It's too late," Ethan murmured, his voice echoing with finality. "Extreme ice illusion killing array." The next moment, 30 razor-sharp ice swords spun rapidly around Ethan. The Goliath beast, in a desperate effort to overwhelm its foe, a manner that cost it dearly, pounded its fists until they swelled and cracked the prison open. But what awaited it was not freedom, nor the thrill of impending revenge. It was the deadly convergence of 30 flying ice blades. Still trapped within the failing structure, there was no way to evade the attack, and the ice swords struck with full force. The Goliath beast proved utterly incapable of resisting the onslaught. With a deafening thud, the beast, known for its thick hide and tough flesh, lost its life. The audience was momentarily stunned into silence by the sheer violence of the conclusion. Then, the entire stadium erupted in thunderous cheers. The quarter-finals were over. What did Principal Robert want with me? What did I see that wrong? He used only one skill. What kind of technique is this? It's so overwhelmingly powerful. Grand Citadel Academy's new captain is incredibly strong. Who even is he? The sheer astonishment radiating from the audience was palpable. Many couldn't help but utter their shock aloud, and several people rose to their feet in disbelief. The scene had been nothing short of miraculous. It should be remembered that the Goliath beast was renowned for its formidable defensive capabilities. For Ethan to eliminate a threat instantly with a single move was enough to demonstrate a terrifying level of power. Meanwhile, the students from Grand Citadel Academy were equally perplexed. They had initially dismissed Ethan's demonstration video in the official Heart in Valor College app as nothing more than a clever illusion. They never imagined it held such profound depth. No wonder the school leaders were so determined to elevate Ethan into the team captain. It was clearly no mere whim. A moment later, they quickly smoothed their expressions and smiled again. With Ethan leading them, Valor College seemed destined to claim another championship title this year. The principals of the other three prestigious universities, seated in the front row, narrowed their eyes slightly. Their gazes gradually hardened with seriousness. Valor College remained as formidable as ever. In the virtual reality simulation, the match had spanned 12 grueling hours. After defeating the fifth-tier mid-stage vicious beast Goliath Beast, the members of the Grand Citadel Academy battle team scattered to hunt down nearby beasts. Ethan closed his eyes momentarily, allowing himself to slowly restore his mental energy. A few hours later, once his reserves were nearly topped up, he opened his eyes and began channeling his mental focus into the divine investigator technique. As had been noted, higher-tier vicious beasts offered greater point values, making it imperative that they locate as many powerful creatures as possible. 12 hours passed in a dizzying blur, culminating in the end of the quarter-finals. A light screen descended before the audience, displaying the final rankings and specific points. First place, Grand Citadel Academy, points, 92,400. Second place, Summit Academy, points, 62,000. Third place, Arcane Crest College, points, 59,500. Fourth place, Obsidian Peak College, points, 58,800. Fifth place, Grand Citadel Academy is far ahead, one student murmured. Of course, it's not just the quarter-finals. Our Valor College has made tremendous strides in both the semi-finals and the finals. Another countered with forced confidence. So what? Mental energy perception won't be much use in the upcoming team competition. Crystal Academy will surely emerge as the ultimate winner. Obsidian Peak College possesses an extremely rare beast taming program called Awakening. I have high hopes for them, a third mused. The moment the leaderboard was revealed, discussion erupted among the viewers. According to the points ranking, Grand Citadel Academy held a commanding lead over the other three prestigious universities. The reason for this massive point differential was simple: their mastery of the divine investigator technique. With the quarterfinals concluded, everyone eventually left their seats. The students from the rival schools were not entirely immune to the impact of the rankings. They had merely been killing monsters within a virtual reality, the deep vaults. Luck played a definite role. This ranking means little, they reasoned. As long as we reach the semi-finals, that will suffice. The real showdown is yet to come. But then, when their eyes fell upon the points total, a flicker of genuine shock crossed their faces. Grand Citadel Academy possessed an enormous lead, a gap so vast it bordered on unbelievable. It was difficult to discern whether this achievement stemmed from sheer luck or superior skill. We shall see, they muttered amongst themselves. The semi-finals will be the true measure of our strength. None of them spoke aloud. The atmosphere remained thick with tension, punctuated only by a faint, metallic scent reminiscent of gunpowder. 12 hours had passed during the quarter-finals, leaving all contestants profoundly exhausted. Consequently, from the afternoon until evening, it was designated rest time for everyone. The following day, the 12 top high schools would compete to determine rankings from 16th to 5th place. the semi-finals were postponed until another day. In Ethan's room, he pondered aloud. Arcane Crest College, the Crimson Menace Robert, extremely skilled in stealth and assassination. Fortunately, my divine investigator technique can pinpoint locations, which should prove highly effective against this kind of esper. He considered Li Zier from Obsidian Peak College, who is widely regarded as a favorite to win. However, the four fourth-tier upper-rank vicious beasts only held a numerical advantage. It was nothing to fear. Summit Academy, though its strongest member was only a fourth-tier middle rank, lacked one realm player compared to the other three schools, yet they were ranked second in the point standings, a threat that could not be underestimated. After exhaling a breath of chi, Ethan, having nothing else pressing to do, settled down for meditation. He closed his eyes and entered a state of cultivation. Cultivation was generally an intensely painful process for ordinary espers, yet Ethan found a strange sense of enjoyment in it. It was similar to the difference between top students and struggling ones, the insights they gained while solving problems were vastly different. Of course, body tempering techniques were entirely excluded. He was not a masochist. As Ethan deepened his cultivation, time began to slip away from him. A few hours later, the doorbell rang. It turned out that Robert wished to speak with Ethan about something, but since Ethan was deeply immersed in his practice, Robert had been unable to reach him by phone. So after calling Sarah, who was having dinner, back to the hotel, he had asked her to check if Ethan was present. Out of kindness, Sarah had brought some fruit for Ethan following dinner. At that moment, Ethan had just recovered from his meditative state. What time is it now? His gaze drifted around the room, and through the window he could see that the sky outside was already dark. He checked his phone. The time read 6:30 p.m. In the north, dusk arrived very early in autumn and winter. It was only 6:30 p.m., yet the world outside was nearly pitch black. Not only the time, but after unlocking his phone, Ethan also saw a message from Robert. "What does Principal Robert want with me?" Ethan scratched his head, a slight look of confusion crossing his face. Just then, the doorbell rang again. Ethan quickly walked to the door and opened it. "Classmate Ethan, Principal Robert needs to speak with you." As soon as the door opened, Sarah spoke softly. "Emma." "Yes, I understand, thank you," Ethan replied, nodding respectfully. "No need for thanks, I was just passing by, and I bought too many fruits." Sarah waved her hand and then handed the fruit she held to Ethan. Ethan arrived at Robert's residence. He had stayed in a hotel specifically set up for the contestants, while Robert occupied a different establishment. "Ethan, you've arrived," Robert said, offering a calm smile. For reasons Emma could not fathom, he always felt an unusual sense of ease whenever he saw Ethan. "Principal Robert, what can I do for you?" Ethan inquired of Emma. "Ethan, do you have time? How about coming out for a walk with me?" Robert responded to Emma, though his words were deliberately indirect. "Yes," Ethan nodded. "This is an 8th-rank Grandmaster, Principal Robert, inviting me for a stroll. How could I possibly refuse?" He paused, feeling a sudden pang of hunger. "That's good." Robert showed no sign of displeasure at the change of subject and continued speaking to Emma. "Then, we can have an extra meal while we're at it." Inside a private dining room, the atmosphere was intimate. "Ethan, are you confident about the upcoming matches?" Robert picked up a piece of beef with her chopsticks and placed it in his bowl before speaking. "Certainly," Ethan replied, nodding slightly, his expression remaining perfectly composed. "To be honest, Zai Leagui and I, who is also the president of Citadel College, were classmates when we were young. Back then, it was always a fierce rivalry between you or me. If one of us fell behind, the other would compete relentlessly until he caught up." "Doesn't that sound impressive?" "It really does," Ethan agreed, nodding. "It was undoubtedly a tremendous advantage to have someone who could push you toward improvement. However, nowadays, and since we are both principals of schools, competition is unavoidable. It has been going on ever since. Now individual realms can't compete either, so he and I have a bet every year. The wager naturally concerns which school ranks higher in the grand collegiate trials, and the stakes are several hundred million. Ethan fell into deep thought. Principal Robert would usually follow this by mentioning the reward he promised himself after leading his team to victory. Sure enough, Robert did so. After the competition concluded, Ethan would receive a mysterious reward. However, the requirements and stakes were slightly different. The requirement was simply to lead the team to first place. Ethan accepted the terms with genuine pleasure. Anyway, I don't have to pay anything myself. Besides, winning first place was my original goal. Getting a mystery reward along the way is truly wonderful. The next day arrived. Currently, only 4 schools remain without a ranking. And these 4 are the ones everyone has been most anticipating. Hostess Marcus Thorne held up the microphone and shouted with palpable excitement. With a flourish of her hand, the light screen before the audience shifted. The logos of the Apex Academies were displayed. The semi-finals will be determined by random matches among these 4 schools, featuring 2 teams competing in a one-on-one format. Only team matches will take place. The matching result will be decided by a randomized algorithm. A series of electronic tones sounded as the light screen shifted. The audience's eyes were glued to the display, their hearts thrumming with anticipation. Next, the random algorithm determined the pairings. The results flashed. That morning, Arcane Crest College versus Summit Academy. That afternoon, Grand Citadel Academy faced off against Obsidian Peak College. In the morning match, Arcane Crest College, come on, Arcane Crest College, we will win, the crowd roared. Crystal Academy mighty, Crystal Academy invincible. In this crucial semi-final, unlike previous matches, it was not a complete rout. The action was far more engaging. Consequently, the audience brought out their support flags in enthusiastic waves. Ethan did not leave his seat. One of the 2 schools would certainly be an opponent in the upcoming finals, making the spectacle worthwhile. Similarly, the battle team from Obsidian Peak College shared that sentiment. On the field, tension was palpable between the 2 sides as they summoned their companion beasts. It became a 10 versus 10 confrontation. First, the superpowers of both sides' support abilities erupted into the fray. Arcane Crest College utilized its water element Esper to greatly improve damage resistance, while the opposing side featured a wind-type Esper, which naturally enhanced speed, movement agility, and most critically, skill-casting velocity. Shadow Strike, Song Fei slipped into the darkness, his companion beast vanishing with him into the night. Simultaneously, defenders from both sides activated their defensive skills, remaining hyper-vigilant against every incoming attack. The air filled with the clash of metal on metal. Amidst the flashing blades, each side managed to take down a companion beast and an Esper. However, due to Song Fei's ability to remain invisible, many Espers present could not locate him. Consequently, as time wore on, Arcane Crest College gained a slight but noticeable advantage. Go Crystal Academy, go Crystal Academy. Fans of Summit Academy continued their cheers for Summit Academy. Yet the volume and vigor of their shouts gradually began to wane. Arcane Crest College, come on, Arcane Crest College is invincible. Yes, yes, that's it, take them down. The fans of Arcane Crest College were in high spirits. They clenched their fists with excitement, unable to hide the triumphant smiles spreading across their faces. Many young women, upon seeing Song Fei's ghostly figure, could not conceal the admiration in their eyes. Given the current situation, Arcane Crest College will win the competition sooner or later, but is Crystal Academy really that weak this year? Only Ethan frowned slightly. He sensed something was fundamentally amiss. In the virtual reality simulation, Zhang Yang, a team member, allowed himself a faint smile. The teammates have bought enough time, the skills are fully charged, and it's finally my turn to make my move. To everyone else, he appeared merely like an ordinary team member, but that was far from the truth. The moment his superpower mutated, he ceased to be anything ordinary. Just as Zhang Yang had planned. A year ago, his superpower mutated, transforming from the rank ability Bone-Eating True Fire into the S-rank ability Red Lotus Karmic Fire. At the same time, his cultivation speed underwent a qualitative leap. The current Li Yang was an awakening 4th-tier upper rank of S-rank ability Esper. This represented Summit Academy's biggest hidden trump card. Blazing Sun, using his wind-based superpower for sheer velocity, Li Yang quickly stepped forward and swung his longsword. A fiercely erupting flame immediately burst forth. One must understand that Blazing Sun is an SS-rank skill. Not only was its temperature close to a terrifying 5,000 degrees Celsius, but its range was also ridiculously vast. Caught completely off guard by Arcane Crest College, the water shield covering them instantly evaporated under the relentless flames. The result was the loss of 2 Espers and 2 companion beasts. Liam Vance's Blazing Sun instantly shifted the momentum of the game. What had been Summit Academy's previous disadvantage was suddenly transformed into a commanding advantage. Observing this display, every member of the audience present wore expressions of sheer horror. Some even rose to their feet in shock. What is happening? Why are these flames so ferocious? Crystal Academy truly devised a cunning strategy to prevent their strongest individual from taking command. Is this Crystal Academy's hidden trump card? The neutral spectators widened their eyes, exchanging glances filled with profound disbelief. After a long silence, the supporters of Summit Academy looked on in incredulous awe before bursts of laughter erupted among them. With this man present, Crystal Academy might finally manage to hold its head high this year. Abbreviation for Crestwood Institute, keep it up. Owen Miller, keep it up. Meanwhile, the fans of Ethereum College continued their cheers, though the sound was noticeably subdued compared to before. At the same time, a voice transmitted through mental energy reached them. Old Robert, Jason Reed from our school, possessed a mutated ability about a year ago. His current power is S-rank ability, Red Lotus Karmic Fire, and his realm stands at 4th-tier upper rank. I have investigated, the voice continued. Your team leader this time possesses only an S-rank Ice Elemental ability, and he is still a freshman. Although his breakthrough was incredibly fast, a genius rarely seen in decades, he remains a mere freshman. No matter how swift his advancement, his realm cannot be that high. The speaker let out a knowing chuckle. Let us see how you manage to win this time. Several kilometers away, Brandon Carter, the president of Summit Academy, projected his voice using mental energy. The intended recipient was, naturally, Robert of Grand Citadel Academy. After all, they still held a bet between them, as Robert had reminded Ethan just yesterday. HMPH, Brandon Carter mused mentally. Just wait and see, then you will understand the truth. After receiving Brandon Carter's telepathic message, Robert merely smiled and returned the communication using his own mental energy. Brandon Carter received Robert's reply, and a knowing smile spread across his face. Jason Reed's S-rank ability was still only at the 4th-tier upper rank. He was definitely not the strongest among the contestants. Moreover, it was an S-plus level fire-type ability Red Lotus Karmic Fire, which directly countered Ethan's ice element. In Brandon Carter's view, Grand Citadel Academy had only one way to win. Some of their team members must also possess supernatural mutations. But how could that be possible? It was originally an S-rank ability. If it were to evolve just one more time, would it not become an SS rank ability? The thought crossed his mind. SS rank ability? How precious. He continued. If you could transform yourself merely by thinking about it, you might as well lie in bed and dream for the rest of your life. With this cynical realization, Brandon Carter shook his head, dismissing the most outlandish idea that had surfaced in his mind. On the field, leveraging their numerical advantage, Summit Academy quickly overtook their opponents. They managed to neutralize almost all the humans and beasts belonging to Ethereum College's team. Only Owen Miller, with his Dark-type awakening ability, remained standing. However, even the strongest fists could not withstand a large group of attackers. No matter how powerful Owen Miller was, it was impossible for one person to fight multiple opponents simultaneously. Consequently, Summit Academy won the semi-final and successfully advanced to the final. Capital Academy, mighty. Crystal Academy, you are the best. The moment the projection in the arena showed that Owen Miller had been defeated, the fans of Summit Academy erupted into a frenzy of cheers. They waved their support flags and shouted until their voices were hoarse. Summit Academy has a trump card up its sleeve this year. Jason Reed's outstanding performance successfully propelled them into the finals. Hostess Marcus Thorne used her microphone to explain the situation with professional flair. As Marcus Thorne spoke, both teams left the virtual reality and returned to the real world. Summit Academy, led by Jason Reed's battle team, departed without lingering. At that moment, Jason Reed secretly rejoiced. Ethan, I heard you are a genius. I admit, for a freshman like you, your cultivation speed is truly terrifying. You certainly deserve the title of genius. Too bad, we have the Grand Collegiate Trials champion in our hands. How could I possibly lose when I've unleashed an S+ level Crimson Lotus flame? As for the future, the grown-up version of me, I won't be able to meet you anymore because I am a senior this year and then I will graduate. Jason Reed laughed heartily, feeling intensely smug. It was amazing that he had managed to defeat a cultist like Ethan. Even if it were only once, the victory felt incredibly comfortable. On the Grand Citadel Academy battle team side, Ryan crossed her arms and observed. Jason Reed's fire is quite intense. Based on my experience, it appears he should possess an S-rank ability. Indeed, David Chen agreed. His awakening is S-rank ability Purple Sun Blazing Fire, and his realm is also 4th tier upper rank. However, the flames he unleashed were nowhere near as powerful as Jason Reed's performance on the field. Therefore, we can only deduce upwards. It must be a mutation in superpowers. After the mutation, the news must have been blocked by those people at Crystal Academy. Otherwise, I would have found related information on their campus forum. Hey, what are you all afraid of? Jessica Hayes interjected, her tone sharp. Captain Ethan possesses an SS rank ability. SS rank ability? Understand? I doubt you would. Jessica Hayes pursed her lips, appearing completely indifferent. David Chen also narrowed her mouth and chuckled softly. At this point, no one else spoke. It was just the two of them bickering as usual, a pattern that had already been established during the battle team training camp. Jason Reed, Ethan thought to himself, S-rank ability. It is true that your flames are incredibly fierce, but you are still a long way from burning through my myriad flower ice mirror. Jason Reed's presence did not cause Ethan any panic. After this match, the next contest was scheduled between Grand Citadel Academy and Obsidian Peak College. However, that match was in the afternoon. By the time the semi-final results were announced that morning, the audience had already departed. Never mind, someone said. Things have come to this, let's eat first. That's true, I'm starving. How can we play a game this afternoon? Amidst laughter and cheerful conversation, the group from Grand Citadel Academy departed. After casting a glance at Ethan's retreating figure, Liam Vance, the captain of Obsidian Peak College, wore an expression of solemn determination. The semi-finals in the afternoon. They must give everything they have. This was because Obsidian Peak College had not reached the finals for 3 consecutive years. This time, the burden fell entirely upon her shoulders. She had a reason to win. The pleasant lunch had concluded, marking a swift transition toward the afternoon. The sun beat down with exceptional intensity, lending a palpable, almost passionate heat to the semi-final match. Fortunately, the venue provided extensive sunshades, shielding the assembled audience from the scorching glare. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final match of the semi-finals. Marcus Thorne's voice boomed through the microphone, carrying across the vast arena. Enough with the pleasantries. The competition is about to begin. Let us cheer for our favorite school one last time before the battle, and let them feel the sheer force of our determination. The roar that followed was immense. As soon as Marcus Thorne finished speaking, the audience erupted in a cacophony of sound, a wave of noise, like a landslide meeting a tsunami that instantly engulfed the entire stadium. Amidst the surging cheers, both teams approached the virtual reality installation. After settling into the helmets, the consciousness of the 10 competitors sank away from the physical world. The competition arena was an exact replica of the real-world field, a vast rectangle 3 kilometers long and 2 kilometers wide. The initial separation between the opposing sides was nearly 3 kilometers. The match began with the classic auxiliary ability burst phase. The light of the sanctuary. Jessica Hayes closed her eyes tightly, clasping her hands together. Behind her, 2 phantom images of pure white angel wings materialized. Simultaneously, a brilliant eruption of platinum light enveloped the 4 teammates surrounding her. This was the support effect she offered, an increase in both damage and defense by 45%. On the opposite side, Alice murmured softly, "The cry of the wild." From the crown of her head sprouted a pair of delicate, lively deer antlers. This was an Esper ability specifically assigned to team leader Lee by Obsidian Peak College. Although Alice currently held only a 4th-tier lower rank realm, her unique power allowed her to genuinely amplify Lei's capabilities. Alice's wild shout caused the companion beasts on the field to elevate their status by a minor realm. The 4 4th-tier upper-rank companion beasts summoned by Lee instantly transformed into 4 5th-tier lower stage realm companion beasts. Since neither Alice nor Lee possessed overwhelming combat prowess, Lee strategically left 2 companion beasts in place for defense, while dispatching 2 more to join their 3 Esper teammates in launching a coordinated assault. They were met with an immediate counterattack from Ethan and Ryan. While Sarah was capable with a spear, the current situation demanded the ranged precision of Thunderstorm and Thunderbolt. Explosive flame slash. A torrent of crimson flames erupted from Ryan's broadsword. Frost spear continuous attack. Thick rime formed instantly on Ethan's spear. The combination of ice and fire was breathtakingly harmonious. However, Ethan's performance proved even more astonishing. It should be noted that before the Grand Collegiate Trials began, Ethan's mastery of spearmanship had already reached the ultimate level. His movements were like the wind, his strikes like a dragon. He could unleash 10 shots in a single second. The speed was so extreme it left visible afterimages as he wielded the spear. Furthermore, the damage output was ridiculously high. The opponent launched an attack against a 5th-tier lower stage realm's Crimson Menace. Under Ethan's lightning-fast thrusts, the creature could not endure even a second. My God, his speed is incredible and so fierce. Indeed, has anyone managed to gauge what level of proficiency he has achieved in spearmanship? I would guess, perhaps master level. Heh, my spear is fast too, just not quite as devastating. The audience members in the stands watched with profound surprise. Meanwhile, the president of Arcane Crest College, seated in the first row, suddenly widened his eyes, a look of sheer astonishment crossing his face. He was over 90 years old. What storms had he not weathered? Yet, this was the first time he had ever witnessed someone master spearmanship at the ultimate level at the age of 19. He himself was skilled with the spear and reached the ultimate level about 20 years ago, but had not improved since. It was therefore possible for him to recognize a fellow practitioner who also wielded the ultimate level proficiency on the field. 19 years old, and ultimate level spearmanship, having lived over 90 years, he never imagined these 2 facts could ever intersect. Back on the field, Ethan alone was fully capable of handling the opponent's sustained offensive. Ryan served as crucial support, absorbing blows when necessary. A few minutes later, 3 Esper members from Obsidian Peak College fell one after another, leaving only Lei and Alice remaining. Grand Citadel Academy suffered virtually no losses. Yes, it was true. In close combat, Ethan was an absolute master. Under such ferocious spearmanship, the opposition had no chance to get even a fraction closer. And their ranged attacks, while potent, were not easy to aim. Even if they connected, forget about Myriad Flower Ice Mirror, they couldn't even breach the Ice Seal shield. Facing the menacing presence of Ethan and Ryan, Lee narrowed her eyes. Clearly, the tide had turned against them. In any case, at least one person needed replacement. Since Ethan was too formidable to challenge directly, he decided to target Ryan next to him. But now, Ethan's combo count had reached a critical peak. A single ice spear he casually threw possessed an impact force exceeding 500 tons. As the two figures came into Lee's view, Ethan unleashed another ice spear. The projectile flew at an extremely high velocity, producing a noticeable friction sound as it sliced through the air. With a graceful parabola, the giant bear that Lee was riding was pierced by the spear. Instantly, a large amount of blood gushed from the wound like a fountain. Simultaneously, raw ice elemental energy poured out of its body. Within seconds, the beast faltered in all four limbs and collapsed. Seeing this, Lee had no choice but to jump clear of the fallen giant bear. The rest was merely a matter of time. Grand Citadel Academy easily defeated Obsidian Peak College, securing their ticket to the finals. The instant the projected image vanished from the field, the previously silent audience gasped collectively before erupting into a deafening roar. Amazing, absolutely incredible, what genius. Ethan, awesome. Am I the only one concerned that Sarah, who was the captain last year, didn't even get a chance to make a move? There is nothing we can do about it. This green field never lacks geniuses. They couldn't even penetrate Ethan's defense. It's a pity. No matter how strong Ethan is, he remains an ice element, and he will be countered by Jason Reed's fire type. That is just theory. We will only know the truth when we actually fight it out. The entire audience was struck dumbfounded. The semifinals were concluded. Marcus Thorne, the hostess, held up the microphone and announced, "Let's give a tremendous round of applause for the outstanding performances of all four schools." A wave of thunderous clapping erupted instantly, echoing through the vast hall and sustaining itself for a long time. The 20 contestants from the Apex Academies offered nods or smiles to their enthusiastic supporters. Only when the roaring ovation finally began to subside did Lee, representing Obsidian Peak College, stride forward until she stood before Ethan. "Ethan," she said warmly, "you are incredibly powerful. I admire you greatly. I truly hope you can win the next championship." Ethan simply nodded in acknowledgement. With that, he turned and left the area with his team members from Grand Citadel Academy. Watching Ethan depart, Jason Reed's eyes narrowed slightly. He thought to himself, the more potent your power becomes now, the more isolated you will be in the future. His spearmanship was undeniably formidable, but if he were to bombard him from a distance using fire, how would His Excellency respond? Let him see the true might of S-rank abilities. Ethan remained oblivious to Jason Reed's internal machinations. Even if he had been aware, he wouldn't have cared. He thought, as I said before, let him witness the power of SS-rank ability. The following day dawned amidst palpable anticipation. The finals of the 2052 Grand Collegiate Trials had officially begun. Fans supporting Grand Citadel Academy waved vibrant blue flags, while supporters of Summit Academy held aloft crimson banners. They cheered and shouted their allegiance. From a distance, the number of blue and red contingents appeared to be roughly equal. Under the intense gaze of the assembled audience, freshmen from both prestigious universities walked confidently into the arena through the grand entrance. Leading one side was Ethan, who exuded an almost chilling aura. He wore a black battle suit and carried an ice-blue spear across his back. His steps were measured and composed. Not a trace of tension marred his face. The opposing side was led by Jason Reed, whose lips curved into a look of profound contempt. He deliberately slowed his pace, perhaps savoring the moment before the finals commenced. "It seems all our contestants possess remarkable spirit," Marcus Thorne announced through the microphone. "Without further ado, please welcome our participants from both schools to take their places at the virtual reality devices." The two groups walked straight toward their respective stations without exchanging a word. After donning the helmets, consciousnesses were gradually pulled into the digital realm. Virtual reality. The final competition was structured in two parts, a team challenge and a practical skills assessment. The former controlled the percentage of bonus points, while the latter determined the raw score. Therefore, the initial step was to allocate the bonus percentages. The options for Grand Citadel Academy were displayed. David Chen received 10%, Jessica Hayes received 10%, Ryan received 15%, Sarah received 25%, and Ethan received 40%. The allocation rested entirely on individual capability. Summit Academy faced a similar selection process. At Marcus Thorne's command, both sides summoned their respective companion beasts. Then, the assistants unleashed their superpowers. The light of the sanctuary, a beam of platinum light, enveloped every contestant from Grand Citadel Academy, granting them boosts in both attack and defense. A light and breezy breeze, a stream of turquoise energy encased all contestants from Summit Academy, providing only an increase in speed. But this was no ordinary acceleration. It enhanced not just movement, but also reaction time, skill casting velocity, and so on. Ethan mused to himself, frozen throne. The next moment, a cloud of icy blue mist suddenly erupted, obscuring the vision of everyone present, including the audience. When the fog finally dissipated, what was revealed was a magnificent frozen throne, upon which Ethan sat. Even through projection, the sight commanded a sense of profound submission from the onlookers. What kind of superpower is this? I recall that Ethan from Grand Citadel Academy possessed the ice and snow crown ability. What is happening here? Such an overwhelming aura. I can feel it even through the projection. I wonder how the others in the arena feel. The audience murmured amongst themselves, their faces etched with shock. Clara could not suppress a slight smile as she watched Ethan shine on the field. A wave of pride washed over her. As expected of brother Ethan, he is incredibly handsome. Liam and Lucas's eyes lit up, both giving him an invisible thumbs up. Brandon Carter, sitting opposite Robert, suddenly widened his eyes as if a profound realization had struck him. On the field, Jason Reed, who moments before had been laughing wildly, saw his smile vanish entirely. Even with his S-rank ability, he felt that even his own flames could not ignite. Impossible. Jason Reed took several steps back, muttering under his breath. He thought, Ethan's awakening ability must be the S-rank ice and snow crown, but based on his current impressions, this was definitely not an S-class ability. It seemed far closer to SS rank ability. An incredible idea suddenly exploded in Jason Reed's mind. Moreover, the more he contemplated it, the more logical it appeared. He thought, if I can mutate with superpowers, why shouldn't others be able to do the same? It is merely that their starting points were different. What are you all standing there for? I must charge up my skill first. You guys stall for time, Jason Reed said urgently to his teammates. Ethan had indeed made him feel wary. Therefore, it was imperative that he quickly determine the winner, and the SS rank skill, Blazing Sun, was the means by which he chose to decide the outcome. The others nodded in agreement. As long as Jason Reed could unleash his skill, with the terrifying wide-range, devouring power of Blazing Sun, their chances of victory were exceedingly high. If you refuse to come, my sword will find you. Ethan, seated upon the frozen throne, waved a hand. By mobilizing the source energy within his body, 30 ice swords rapidly condensed. Although this expenditure would quickly consume his source energy, the benefits it provided to Ethan himself were equally immense. It would further enhance his control and activity of that very energy. Like a raging tempest, these 30 ice swords, accompanied by the sound of tearing air, flew swiftly toward the formation of Summit Academy. Quickly defend, protect Jason Reed, the group from Summit Academy shouted in unison and immediately sprang into action. The overall strength of the other seniors at Citadel College this year was indeed lacking, and Jason Reed represented their only hope for victory. Moreover, Since Jason Reed's fire-type abilities still restrain the ice element, his safety was of paramount importance.